pick it up again. You got it.
Thank you. Do you remember that the giant was as tall as our ceiling?
Yeah.
And he had a sword.
That's as big as that Christmas tree. No.
And a spear and a shield. And he had armor on his head and his arms and his legs and all over his body. And you know what? Do you know how David killed him?
Oh yes, by
Riley, do you know how David killed Goliath? You remember how he killed the giant?
Yeah.
How did he kill him?
yes.
He ripped his rock.
He did.
And then he hooked it to his string, and then he threw it through it, and then went in the brain.
It went right in here into his head. You're right. And I don't know if he fell down dead and then David cut off his head, or if he was just stunned. But anyway, he was dead, and all the Philistines ran away, and Israel won the battle. Well, David became very famous then because he was so brave, and he was so good with his sling, and he was not afraid. Oh, careful with him, careful with him. He's fine, he's fine.
Yep, just let him play.
So, then David, they eventually made David the king, and he built a palace, and I'm going to show you. He built this palace up on a hill like this. So he had his palace up here. So nobody, well, actually, there was another palace that was up here.
Don't kick him, Riley.
Okay, and nobody could get up to this palace,
Stop.
to this castle.
Mommy,
And David wanted to capture this palace that was up here on top of the hill. And down here was a big, deep ravine. A ravine is where it's like where the water will flow through a creek, and when it's dry, it's called. So it has what are you laughing at?
Crick.
A creek, a creek. And there was one on the other side too, so it was really deep hole too, so he couldn't get there either. And then there up here, so it was the only way they could get in was from this way, and they had lots of big fortifications over here, so nobody could get in. And the people here said, we don't even need an army because, hello, people who can't walk and people who can't see can defend our city because it is so strong, nobody can get in.
But he could.
Well, David said to his soldiers, he said, whoever can get into that city, I'll make him the chief general over all the armies. And there was a man who was one of David's fighting men, and his name was Joab. And Joab knew that out here, down here, was a pool of water. It was kind of like a little tiny lake or a well of water, where when the rain would come down off the mountain and go there, and they made this little pool. That's where the people got their water. But they knew that if an army came, there's no way they could get their water. And so what they did was down here deep in the rock, they dug a hole, a well shaft from inside the mountain so that they could get down to the water. So that if an army like David's came to fight him, they could sneak down that hole and get some water or put their buckets down. Well, Joab thought, they have a way to get their water in there. I bet I can find it. So he went in the water and he found the secret passage. He found the well shaft and he climbed up it and got into the city, and he took some other men with him, and guess what? There weren't really blind people and crippled people trying to defend the city. There was nobody trying. They weren't trying to defend the city at all. They didn't think anybody could ever get in there. And so when Joab got there with his men, he captured the city. And so David made him his chief general of all of his armies because he was so clever in figuring out a way to get inside the city. And so, from then on, David called those people, they were the Jebusites, and he called them the lame and the blind. They were always just the lame and the blind people. And so he got this castle and he built him a beautiful palace, and that's where he lived, on this beautiful hill. That wasn't a very inspiring story, but I thought it was interesting.